Welcome back to the Belonging Place, where we talk about connection, community, belonging. And I'm very excited for my guest today and longtime friend.
Yes.
Carrie Hill. So Carrie, talk to us. The first thing I usually do with people is just let them give a little bit of an elevator pitch, short, about who you are, which I know you're so many things. But if you could pare it down for people who maybe don't know you.
Yeah. First and foremost, I am my father's daughter for
Yes.
sure. Second, I am a mom. Thirdly, I am a follower of Christ, and I think fourthly, I am a lover of people. That's who I am.
Yeah, you got that good.
Yeah.
Okay, I am going to ask you this question again. And this might be a little bit hard because you got it so succinct. If I were to say to you, hey, Carrie, tell me who you are, but you can't describe anything you have
Mm-hmm.
or anything that you've done
Mm.
or even like mother, because
Mhm.
that's your
Mhm.
kids,
Mhm.
what then would you say
Oh, I'm a
about who you are?
creator. I'm a
Okay.
creator. I've thought about that question a
Okay.
lot, Kylee.
Okay.
Like, who am I outside of all the titles, right? And I think we don't take stock of that often enough. I think, especially as a mom, you
Mhm.
get caught up in everybody else's life, right? And
Mhm.
so when you actually have to pause and go back into yourself and say, oh, who am I? It's a really good exercise for anyone that's professional in the world trying to detach themselves from a title to be in a room and just introduce yourself with your name.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Carrie.
Yes.
That's it, right? And when people say, what do you do? I say, I love to meet new people like you, right? I think the less that we can attach ourselves to what we do,
Totally.
the more connection opens up for us
Yeah.
with people.
And it's so interesting that you say this because, and maybe this is why I'm passionate on this
Yeah.
podcast about talking about people's becoming and not necessarily what they do, is because the thing that I do is very triggering to people. So when I enter a room and people are like, what do you do? What do you do? And I say I'm a therapist,
Yeah.
people have opinions,
Yes.
good or bad.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of my life, I would just be like, well, I'm a writer,
Mhm.
which I am,
Yeah.
but it's less triggering. It's less like judgmental. People don't have, or sometimes I would say silly things like
Yeah.
I'm a trapeze artist or something.
Right.
just to be like, can we not find other things to talk about in a room
Yeah.
than what we do?
Yeah.
Like than who we are. Okay. So I'm really excited to have you today because I see you as just like fierce, feminine, but I also see you as soft, kind. I've known you through some hard times. But I want to start off the podcast. You have a podcast called Refined Resilience. Now, I want to ask you first of all, because I know the process that it takes to like decide what you're going to talk about and decide your title. But can you talk to me about why that topic, why that name?
Yeah.
Of all the things you could talk about, which is many, you were like, this is what I want.
Yeah, I really appreciate that question. I think for me, resilience has been an overarching or underlying, however you want to look at it, theme of my life. I mean, it really is about, I don't want to say bouncing back, or I like bouncing forward or going forward, falling forward, right? I like that. But from the time that I was really little, I had two parents that parented differently, right? And as all parents do. But if I fell down on the sidewalk, my mom would say, oh, well, did you hurt the sidewalk? Right. And my dad would say, oh, I'm so sorry that you've got that hurt. We'll put a Band-Aid on it. I had two different perspectives to get me back off the ground, right? And so I always think about that throughout those hardships of my life. Did I hurt the sidewalk, or can I have a Band-Aid, or can I have both? That all of those things, there's no specific way to be resilient. It's whatever perspective you decide to take on. But you have to refine it every single challenge.
Yeah, tell me more about that.
Yeah.
Dig into that because like I think resilience, everybody has different definitions of that, but tell me more about your passion or your desire to talk about, or the principle that I see throughout your podcast about refinding it.
Yeah.
What is it about that?
So for me, because you have known me through some challenging times, there were some big moments in my adult life where I had to consistently find a new foundation for this next challenge that I was going to go through, or I was going through in that moment. What I did before didn't necessarily, it strengthened me, but it didn't necessarily work. The formula that I used before didn't work for this situation.
Yeah.
So how do I take the strength, but find a new pivot in this moment,
I
right?
love that.
So that I can keep going forward. And so when I was in that situation, there were so many people, Kylie, you included, who brought resilience to me. You brought your soul. You brought maybe some food at some point. You know, people brought love.
Yeah.
And they were just these small, and not very many people knew of the situation, you know. You were privy to the situation, but for me, there weren't very many people that knew, but people still showed up just to say.
And you opened your house.
You know.
I have this vivid memory of standing at your door in your beautiful entryway multiple times coming into your home and your arms and it was hard. It was a hard time for you. But I remember being like, she's so, I don't know. The things I still think of you. She's so beautiful. I would say so resilient, but mostly because of the time and the things that were going on. I remember thinking she's so full of grace. She's so willing to understand the circumstances she's in. She's not unknowing. It's like very clear. Giving grace, trying to, I call it just like a liminal space, like trying to decide what I need to do. Very connected, it seemed, to a higher power, God.
Yeah.
And it was inspiring.
Yeah, thanks.
And I think it's hard. It's not always, I don't know what it felt like to be on your side of it, but I think often when we're in our struggles, we don't seem like we're inspiring or we don't seem like we're resilient or seem like we're strong. And isn't that interesting that in the world, how people perceive us or see us? I think it's, for me, I'll tell you why it was for you. It's because I really am attracted to and like really drawn to people who are like striving. They're striving. They're becoming. They're like trying to look around and be like, okay. And in my words, and I wrote a whole book around this, but like, and I don't think it has to be LDS per se, but it's like, and they're trying to build the kingdom is what I call it. They're trying to say, what do I have to offer? What in my corner of the world, how can I paint it? And you've seemingly always been that way. And I want to know where that came from, do you think?
Well, I think it came from resilience. I think it came from the learned process of just like, you hurt your knee when you fell on the sidewalk, but it's temporary. It will heal. So like, we're still going to move on. We're still going to finish the walk. Yeah. Right? Like, we're still going to do that. And I think
this bump does not stop the journey.
It doesn't stop the journey. Like, I still have to complete the hike. Just because you fall down and hurt your ankle, you either have to go backwards or you have to go forward. Yeah. But you're still finishing that, right? And so for me, it was always about, there is going to be a completion of this chapter, whatever it is. I'm just still on the road to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But at some point, it's going to come to an end. I just don't know when. So if I'm not walking forward, I'm never going to know. Right.
But there are a lot of people, I guess I want to flesh this out. There are a lot of people on that journey who, boy, do they want to complain. Yeah. And they want to kick the rock and they want to kick the tree and they want to say the sun is too hot and they want, like, if we're using this analogy, and they are going to sort of be able to like justify the pain of the knee by sort of being a victim of all the circumstances. It doesn't seem like this is the way you came to the world or came to your challenges.
Yeah. Oh, I think Kylie, one of the reasons that, and I want to just circle back to the impactful moments for me of people coming to my home and bringing me love or checking in with me as you did. And by the way, you know, you impacted my daughter too. I mean, love your daughter. Brianna still remembers you. She loves you, you know. These were resilient people that came and offered resilience to me. Just a little tap. We're still here. We got you. Beep, Keep beep. Going. Yeah, you know. And at the time, there wasn't any bandwidth for me to give back in a way that I would have liked to. So fast forward a few years, and I thought I would really like to have a podcast someday I'm going to have a podcast that will tell other people's stories, because all of these people, you included, had other life things going on in your own space.
Yeah.
But yet you took the time to come and see that I was okay, that I was resilient. And so the podcast is called Refined Resilience, because for me, I had to refine it at every challenge. And while I was doing my story, you were doing yours. And how did you get through that, right?
Yeah.
So that's the mission of the podcast, is just to share different ways that people arrive at resilience in their own life. And I don't know, arrive maybe is not the right word, but journey
on the journey,
toward
where your journey's bumping up to my journey. The
Yeah.
thing is that I love about this is when I was deciding what I wanted to talk about, or well, it's hard when you're like, have a lot of passions about a lot of things, which I'm sure you're the same way. I was like, what can I sit down and talk to people over and over and over?
Yeah.
Who knows how long I'm going to have a podcast, but I hope a long time.
You will.
And one of the topics that I'm passionate about is resilience. It's failing forward.
Yeah.
I've had plenty of my own experience, but I'm attracted to people who sort of pick themselves up. And it doesn't matter if people help them or not. I'm not saying I'm not like valuing hyper independence, but I'm saying people who sort of look around and are like, okay, and now what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And a lot of that is filled with, I'm also really passionate about grief and the process of loss, and how much, I don't think we talk enough about grief in resilience building, and how much loss there is, and how much you have to let go. And so when your podcast came out, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, this is another, like there was a couple topics, connection, belonging, resilience, grief, mental health. There was a few things that I thought about. I'm curious. I have a book here. One of my favorite authors is Sterling Sill. And this poem, you can find it in a lot of places, but it happens to be in this book, Making the Most of Yourself. And have you heard the poem Good Timber? Okay. It's by Douglas Malloch. I'm not going to read the whole poem. Okay. I'm going to read you my favorite stanza. Love it. And I want you, it's about resilience. Okay. And it's about trees, which I'm from Oregon and I love trees. And so, but I'm going to read this stanza, and then I want you to think about like what it resonates with you, or what it makes you feel, or just thoughts that you have about it. Okay. I'll read actually two, the first one and the one I want to read. The tree that never had to fight for sun and sky and air and light, but stood out in the open plain and always got its share of rain, never became a forest king, but lived and died a scrubby thing. Good timber does not grow with ease. The stronger the wind, the stronger the trees. The further the sky, the greater the length. The more the storm, the more the strength. By sun and cold, by rain and snow, in trees and men, good timbers grow.
Beautiful. Yeah. I love that, Kylie, because, you know, something that always amazes me, that literally stops me when I'm out in nature, especially in southern Utah because of the dry weather. I love looking at those little plants that are growing through those trees. I just love it. I'm amazed by it every time because I see myself in that plant. Like, oh my gosh, I feel you striving every day. I know what that feels like, you little plant. You know, like, keep going. Yeah. You know? But I love that, obviously, because you can't grow. You can't become unless you have adversity and challenges in your life. That is the catch-22 of life, right? It's that we become who we are through those challenges. And you know, you asked, how did I just show up that way, you know? And I don't think I did. There was a fair share of victimizing that was happening in those moments, you know, where divorce was looking very imminent. I had to grieve the loss of a relationship while I was still in the relationship, you know, and I had to reshift my focus to, now I'm a full-time caretaker of these children. Like I was before, but now I am even the economic provider for these kids and for myself. There was a lot going on in that time period, a lot of transformation, rapid transformation, but the grief and the loss was slow, right? And so, you know, you talked about grace earlier, and I think when you are that little plant just trying to get out of bed every day, you look for the sun. Where is the sun today? Like, how do I do this today? And so it's not that resilience is not that you, and I will say, and becoming is not that you don't have a period where you are a victim.
Right.
We will all go through that, right? We can't beat ourselves up about it, that we're sitting and going, how could this happen to me? Because that's human. So, like,
because we don't control other humans.
Because we don't control other humans. And that is the hardest lesson to learn.
Of course it is. Yeah.
That is the hardest
If
lesson.
I can pull down all the therapy I've ever done
as
a therapist, this is it. It always is this.
Yeah.
It's funny because sometimes I'm like, I can't believe I have a job that people pay me for me to say the same thing over and over and over, right. Which is you can't control anybody but yourself. Like really, there's a lot more to it than that. Yeah. But honestly, sitting in front of humans that are struggling, they have to hear you can only control you.
Yeah.
Even though they know that. Because that's the hardest thing in life.
Yep.
Is that we bump into so many people and like we wish we had more control over circumstances and people, but really like we only have control of ourselves.
Well, and until you are pushed to make that realization, you will never make it.
Yeah.
Like you just
tell me more about that.
Yeah. I feel like, especially in marriages, I think in relationships, kid relationships, romantic, whatever the relationship is, you want to think that you're aligned, that you're on the same page, right? Alignment is not attraction.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
Oh my gosh. Amen. Say that again.
Right. Alignment is not attraction.
Yeah.
You can be attracted to a lot of different people in your life and have no alignment. And then you get divorced and then you get like trauma and then right? I mean, so alignment for me is, I didn't understand what the word alignment meant. I think we're not raised. We don't really talk about that as young people. What does alignment mean? You know, until we get into a relationship where we're not aligned. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not aligned. I'm not aligned with me. Right? So I'm still becoming me while you're still becoming you.
Yeah.
And maybe we have
we're not going in the same direction.
Right.
Yeah.
We have different definitions of what alignment and this journey looks like. And so I think until we are pushed in a situation that forces us to see that the other person is not you.
Mm-hmm.
You are your own person. They are their own person. And you literally you may have some impact and some influence. You have no control, right? And so I think until we make that, and that's just like therapy 101, that until you understand that you are a soul entity outside of everyone else, right? We talked about that at the beginning.
Totally.
Like I'm a mom, but like who am I? Just me, right? Who am I? Just me outside of this relationship. You have to become aligned with yourself first. And so I think I spent a fair amount of time in my own experience trying to adjust that alignment within myself. What do I want? What is right now? Is grace the right move right now? Is leaving the right move right now, right? Is crying, is being the victim the right move right now?
Totally.
Whatever that is, and it's not linear. It's never linear, right?
I call it the do-si-do.
Yeah,
it's a dance, right?
A dance.
1 step forward, 2 steps back,
That's right.
do-si-do.
That's
like,
right.
I don't mean that in a positive way.
Yeah.
I mean that in like grief and life doesn't happen, like you said, linearly.
Yeah.
And we're also not doing it linearly next to people who are also not doing it linearly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but I think that's that's a beautiful recognition of alignment, because then you know the right conversations to have with people, because you've been through that experience and you're like, I see you're going through that too, right? So let's just have the conversation about alignment.
Yeah.
For me, I think, Kylie, like resilience came out of really trying to get aligned with my purpose at the time, the mission that I was on, the needs of my family.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can't undervalue, like I have to pay for food and shelter, and I think a lot of people would like to be very much more purpose driven, but they have to make the ends meet.
Yeah, we all have to. We all have to.
Yeah.
For me, we were talking a little bit off camera before this, but I said to you, what was I was able to leverage before this ever happened, this chapter in my life. I was able to leverage my love of people and my love of connection and storytelling into a freelance kind of pathway. And I loved it.
Yeah.
I was so passionate about it, you know? And then those qualities within me that had given me something to love, created something to love, now became the only thing I had to rely on to create stability for my family. And that's a whole different
That's a shift.
like mantle.
That's yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a big deal. And so I think knowing that you are still you and that the things that you love are still within you, even in those transitions, even when you can't see the sun, being able to rely on yourself based on your previous experiences with yourself, that creates resilience for you.
Totally. And I watched that. That was one of the things that I loved, because I was able to see you and be with you before and also after. And then I moved away and you moved away, and we've sort of seen each other from afar. But one of the things that
I love that, because the energy never changes. Like, I love seeing you. It's like I just saw you yesterday. You know, I love it. So
yeah, but I have a secret thing about you. Meaning not a secret thing, but meaning like I knew you before.
Yeah.
Like, I see you as like, and I mean this in like a very respectful. So like, I see you as a very bright, shiny, resilient connector, almost like flitting around, famous. Like, you're shaking hands with lots of really amazing people. But I like knew you before that.
You totally did.
And part of me is like, isn't this what life is about? Knowing people at all kinds of, coming in and out of people's lives at all kinds of points along the journey, like you said, on the path. But the thing that's so fun for me, I don't even know if fun is not a deep enough word. The thing that's so healing maybe in that process for me to watch is there was sort of a point where I felt like you were diminished by your circumstances, and you knew it. You were kind of like, I'm stuck. These are my words. You were kind of stuck, and you were just like, something has to change for me to be either go back to who I was before this circumstance. Because I remember you saying almost just like, this is not who I am. This is not what I wanted. This is not where I imagined myself to be. Something like this.
Yeah.
And if I could go back, you didn't say it exactly like this, but also like, maybe not go back, maybe move forward. And that place, like, we can't let go of that place where like there is a lot of whatever your emotions, guilt, shame, anger, fear, victim. There was a lot of messy, but on the other side of the hurricane, I call it.
Yeah.
On the other side of the hurricane, there was this life that was always inside of you that all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but seemed to just like grow and blossom. Like the tree reaching for the sun and the roots digging deeper, there seemed to be a freedom of purpose. And I know that part of that was out of necessity. So like, I don't want to romanticize it, right? Part of it was like, like you just said, I had to take something where like I had security as a parent and as a mom and in my home, and I was doing this thing on the side, and now the side thing has to become the thing, and how that changes the relationship of it. But in that refiner's fire, like, it's messy, I think. And as you come out the other side and people see like maybe the results, like there's still this person that's growing and learning. And I guess the next question I have for you is that lots of people are very consumed, and I don't mean this to be mean, I mean this to be real, in their becoming. It's just it's enough. The plate is full in like, I'm trying to make the meet needs for myself and my kids, and I would like to potentially maybe be in another relationship. So how do I get to, and they're pretty much can just do what's right in front of them. One of the things that I really value in people, but that I've seen in you is that yes, you're doing that, but you're also seemingly, and I want to ask you about this, passionate about like, lifting where you stand is the phrase. Like, like, how do I make the path easier, better, calculatable, bite-sized for other, and I'm going to say particularly for other women who are maybe going to step on this path. Not that you can take away their progress, but how do I make it a little bit easier for them to get there? And I guess before you talk about what you've done with that, talk to me about where you think that comes from, or even just why that's a passion or important to you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't think we don't dive into that. Like, why is the why behind the why are you?
No, we usually get really fast to the product. These are the things that I'm producing.
Yeah.
But I'm curious because not everybody, you and your circle of friends and my circle of friends, we surround ourselves with a lot of friends who are very purpose driven and are very much like, let's make the world better around us. But not everybody is built that way. A lot of people are like, let me just figure out my patch of the world. Yeah. So what?
Yeah, I really love that question, Kylie. And I'll go back to, I wanted to be a cheerleader in 6th grade. I was a cheerleader in 6th grade and 7th grade for like club sports, right? When they had cheerleaders for club sports. But I was good enough for club sports. My mom paid for me to be on the cheer squad, But when it came to high school and that just wasn't, it wasn't my thing, right? So I turned to theater. I've always loved cheering people. I have always loved somebody else to succeed. It brings me so much, and I don't know why. That is a gift, I think. A quality that God has blessed within me is that I want to see other people succeed. I want to champion their story, their
If the light
journey.
shines on you, it doesn't take away from me. Right. There's enough light.
That's right. Well, and we both shine because we're both in it together.
Totally.
And so I think, you mentioned earlier I stayed off camera, like maybe I stayed in the marriage too long, right? But it's the driving human champion soul in me that wants to see people lift up. It's not false hope.
Totally.
I genuinely love seeing this process happen for you. And so when this experience happened to me, it was a life-changing experience in every way. One of the things that just kept going through my mind was how many other women are going through this right now. And I know sometimes when we're in that victim mindset, we can't think externally about anybody else that's going through that. But for me, because I've always been such a I want to connect with people.
Totally.
My mind just automatically went to, well, if I'm going through this, clearly there's probably thousands of other women who are experiencing the same thing and having to make a transition after 23 years of marriage. So if I'm doing it, what am I learning? How am I piecing myself together, and how could I help those women so they don't have to do the thing that I just had to do?
Yeah.
So that's where that came from. So, creating a program, if you will, to help women understand kind of basic job reentry skills became really, really important because for me, Kylie, I didn't know. I hadn't been in the corporate space for like 16 years at that point in time. So for me, it became I paved a lot of road for any women that were coming behind me to know, oh, you need this and you need this to learn and you need this tool to learn and you need this skill so that you don't have to go through the rocky road that I did.
Yeah. So on this podcast, I call this like building a well, a belonging place or a place where people can come, they can partake, they can take, they can leave, they can bring, they can invite other people. And not everybody is a well builder. Like I consider you very much a well builder.
Thank you.
And a connector. And I love this. I love that born out of like your experience is sort of like, how can I, and I know you enough to know that it's not like I figured it out, so here you go.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I know.
I have connections to things and to people, and I have the ability to start something that matters. Not everyone has that capacity either, just like in them, right? Some people have the ability to build the train. Some people have the ability to jump on the train. Some people like just want to ride the train. Some people come and fix the train, you know? So when you're like, okay, I can kind of build the train, but I also know a lot of people that can help with the train. And by the way, I would like to build the train that like more people can ride rather than they have to build and they have to find.
Yes.
And this to me is such like a connecting gift. So you kind of started to say it, but can you tell me a little bit more? Like what does your whether you've created it or in the process of it, or what does that well look like for you, and what does it do, and what does it give to other women?
Well, I will say this. It started out with creating a program that's been ongoing for 2 years, working in collaboration with UVU. And lately, I've been doing a lot of thinking about, what does this train look like that I'm building? Maybe the train doesn't look like what I thought it would look like. Maybe this program doesn't ever get off the ground at UVU. Maybe it goes somewhere else. Maybe there's something different. I don't care. God put that on my heart to focus on that, and that gave me the purpose that I have needed to focus on for the past 2 years that we've been trying to create it. For me, I had this thought a couple of weeks ago. God never said, like, do this thing and this will happen.
Totally.
He said, do this thing. Okay, you got it. I'm out, right? Like, I gave it to you. Whatever happens with it is what happens with it. And so for me, I thought, I think we attach so much of our resilience or our connection or our relationships to like the outcome
of
those things, right?
Yeah, louder in the background.
Yeah.
Even in relationships, right? In relationship to people that like, this is my silly thing that I always say, that the lesson that I'm continually learning. I always was closer with men and boys and like good friends, and many times in my life confused a really good friendship and a time on the path with like what I romantic. And God was always kind of teaching me this lesson of like, people are going to come in and out of your life, Kylee, and they're not all going to be for this outcome that you're thinking or looking.
Right.
And if you attach that outcome to these different relationships, you will miss what they're there for and what they're there to give.
Well, I'll tell you, Kylee, that this experience is a direct reflection of what you just said, because through wanting to create this, through acting on this, and this is, I think, you know, we say like, oh, when did you start this? Like 2 years ago. No, this was in my head, in my heart for years before that, right? But it was always there. And so the second, and I think acting on it is not letting it go.
Totally.
You know, I think it's Mel Robbins. She talks about like, you know, a thought comes into your head and you have literally like 2 or 3 seconds to figure out what you're going to do with that thought. And I've always thought about that. If that is true, and I don't know, I'm not saying it, I have no idea, but I just remember that quote. If that's true, then that 2 to 3 second thought that I had in my head has stayed with me for 8 years. That's I have to take action on that.
Gosh,
right?
yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
And so for me, I just thought, okay, there will be a point when I can take action on this. Doing that, Kylee.
The action of doing it is enough.
Because that's the action of it is what made me, I need to be in a room where there's other women who can help me make this happen. I need to be on social media where I can connect with other women and see what they're doing and see how they can do it.
I need to ask questions.
I need to know. I don't have
to be
all
at the
of
table.
the tools, and I don't have all the people, and I can't do it by myself, right? So I think for me, the well building of this is also just that I acted on something that opened doors.
Totally.
And if now the train takes a little bit of a different, you know, path, it couldn't have gone anywhere if I didn't open the door.
Yeah, I want to emphasize this. And I've said this on a couple other podcasts. One of my very, very favorite quotes, it's very short. It actually comes from Sterling Still, from his book, Leadership. And I remember reading this, and I say this a lot in this podcast because it was so impactful to me. This is the sentence: most ideas die en route.
Yeah,
and
amen.
It was like,
yeah.
I remember reading that, and I remember like maybe the defiant spirit in me was like, I will not be that.
Yeah.
I will be
Same.
a make it happen person.
Yes.
So I wrote a book and I did a thing, and I'm not saying this to like get any clout, but I'm saying this because I truly believe that more people have the ability to make things happen, but that we often live in a think it, don't do it, or think it, but like overcomplicate how hard it is. Now, I'm not trying to undermine that it is hard, but like there is something to be said about just starting.
Just doing.
Like I am just recorded my 50th episode for this podcast.
Congratulations.
And if I were to look at people who have bajillions of followers and hundreds of episodes and compare that way, I'm just like a baby starting. But if I look at what I've done compared to people who have said, I want to do a podcast and haven't started. Look at where I've come, right? Not that we need to compare to anybody, but there's something to be said about beginning. There's something to be said about building, walking the path, collecting people, synergizing on an idea. Yeah, you were going to say.
Well, I was just going to, something that we talk about a lot in when we talk about emotional regulation is being able to name the thing, right? So the starts with naming the thing. I have this idea. Oh, okay, great. Now it's out there. I don't care who you say that to, your friend, your kids, like write it down. But once you name what that idea is, it's much easier to take action on the thing rather than just letting it go through your mind.
Also,
and that's where
I believe
you get
the
lost,
world will conspire for your good. If you put it out there, how do people know unless you put it out there? Yeah.
Well, and I think it's the same with, we want to hide the challenges. We want to hide the grief and the pain and the loss. And like, how will you find a community of support if you are not vocalizing, I am sad, I am grieving, I have loss, I am excited, I need an excited, connection. Whatever that range is, it's like your ideas, nothing materializes without naming it. And so for me, that was part of my own well-building, was naming, I do have a purpose. This came into my heart. It's been in my mind. I wrote it down. I am now seeking opportunities to build it. Who can come with me? Who wants to come with me?
Who wants to help build the train? Who wants to ride the train? Who's going to fix it when it's broken?
Now I have a community of people. And I think, I was doing a podcast episode yesterday, and we were talking about finding connection, young people finding connection. And I said, with the immersive space that we're in social media, it's very easy to confuse community and connection, because you can find, for whatever it is that you are feeling, you will find a community out there that will tell you exactly how you should be feeling and how you should deal with it and all these things.
Best therapist ever is TikTok.
But like the actual, well, and I guess, and you could look at it conversely too. You can connect with somebody without having a community. You can connect with a voice on social media that's telling you all those things, but your community is your immediate family, your school, your
belonging places.
Like, where do I belong? I can go to social media and I can get a community that is really just a connection. Right. Or I could just come here and find my people.
Yeah. But I think, tell me what you think about this. In doing this and talking to multiple people specifically about connection and belonging, it seems to me, and I had kind of a null hypothesis when I started this podcast about what I thought, what connection and belonging did and authentic. But one of the things I feel like social media, for the most part, lacks, or even anything that's not sort of like deeper or personal, is that people, for the most part, show up as their as an avatar or as a facade or as like trying to be something, and so you don't know their worst days, you don't know their losses, you don't know their pain. There's this quote I share a lot here, like, how, like, if you don't know your neighbor's pain, how can you love them? Like, how do you love? And so we are connected by things that we like or things that we do, but we're not authentically connected because we don't hold each other's hearts, right?
I think this is an art. This is what I've decided. The older I've gotten, the more I realize not everybody gets to know what's going on in my life.
Yeah.
Right? I think there's a difference in putting your whole life out onto social media.
Yeah, please don't.
Like, here's my pain, here's my grief, here's everything. And I think there's a difference in sharing all of that and saying, I'm selective with who I share my pain with.
And I think we should.
It's not that I don't go through that. It's that I realize that it's valuable. My pain is valuable to me because it has helped me grow like this beautiful tree, like these little plants. I am striving every day. And I don't necessarily need to put my pain on display to know that you also have pain because I've had it. Right?
And those who do get to hear that, those are the sacred relationships.
And those are the sacred relationships. Now, I think there's constructive I mean, any time that you can offer real practical application of what that experience was like for you, share away. There's a lesson to be learned in that for people, right? But I think
people feel seen. One of the things about connection is people want to feel seen. They want to be heard.
Yeah.
They want to be able to maybe say like, oh, someone's walked the path before.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with sharing like personal things. I'm just saying one thing that I have learned over time is that when you are going through a survival situation, a massive life challenge, or adversity, you are lost. You don't have answers. You are looking to anybody else that can give you an answer. And so you just share with everybody.
Yeah.
Maybe you have it. Maybe you have it. Maybe you have the answer, right? And then you learn over time, but there was no, why was I sharing so much? Because I didn't belong to myself wholly in that moment. I belonged to a problem. I belonged to the challenge. And so I became the victim because I didn't belong in myself, right? I wasn't stable in myself. And so I was looking for everybody else to solve that problem. And I just learned over time, everybody's got pain. Everyone is going through something. And because I know that, I don't need to read about it on your social media. If I do read about it, I will send you a message privately that says, hey, I just want you to know I'm thinking about you today, But for me, I realized how much energy was going to other people that then they consume. And now they're carrying that energy of my frantic chaos, which was not the intention. Right? The intention was like, I just need help.
It's like it's like tentacles that are like, So
I'm very careful as I've gotten more towards, the other side of this struggle, of like, who do I share this story with? Like, who gets to hear this now? Because your energy is valuable. My energy is valuable. We don't want to waste each other's energy. There was a time when I did that and I learned. Yeah. And there's a time when everybody does that and you learn. Like, oh, that was a lot. That took a lot out of me. Yeah. And I had less room to be still because I was giving away all of my pain.
Yeah, I guess I want to say to people.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like in your growing and becoming, like I think it is important. There's some sacred stuff that's happening in that, even in our messy.
But you have to share.
And who we share that with and who we invite in and who we keep out, because that's what boundaries are, healthy boundaries, matters, right? Yes. Sometimes you don't know and sometimes you learn.
Do you know something else, Kylie, that I thought of? And this is a reason that I think a lot of people don't share anything about them, right? I'm very good at sharing my experiences in a constructive way. I try really hard to circle back to an action that's happening because of that story, but that's me. Yeah. I think there's a lot of energy put today on social media to find other groups of people who are victims. Let's find that's my community. I'm a victim. Let's go to the community. And all we do then is feed that victim state, right? Totally. And so if we want to get out of that with the pain that we're in, we have to go to a different well. Totally. We have to go to a different community. So, right? So share it where it matters. Totally. Like, I mean, yes, share that journey. You understand it, so you can be empathetic in that space. But if you want to get out of that space, you have to go on a different path. Yeah. So then what you share becomes productive sharing. Yeah. Right?
There's something to be said. I've always thought this is really interesting when there's that saying of like, be the dumbest person in the room. And I have internalized that in my life, and not necessarily be the dumbest person in the room, but like make sure you surround yourself with people that I'm going to have to strive. Yeah. I'm going to have to try. I'm going to have to grow. I'm going to be learning. Like when they're around me, like they're different than me purposefully. Like I don't want to be in an echo chamber of my life because of this. Yeah. Because then there's no growth, there's no loss, there's no adversity, so there's no resilience and growing. So like who you place and the wells that you go to and the wells that you create really, really do matter, because they end up informing your view of the world, your view of beliefs, the way that you look. And I think it's really, and we're really struggling in America right now, currently on this, and this kind of echo chamber that people are sort of comfortable. And that's a whole other topic. Yeah. But one of the things I do want to ask you is, coming back to women and women's growth and women in their worth, it seems like you have had some really good opportunity to like grow and put some things together about women and how they value themselves and how they show up in relationships. Even putting together, I think you're working or have put together like a keynote. Can you talk to me a little bit about some of the principles that you have pulled out and that you are passionate about?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. Also, I just want to say before I answer that question, Kylie, that in my reflection of my challenges in that state of life, I think how many people met me when how many people know me from that place in my life, right? And I don't know the kind of perception that people had of me at the time. I mean, I know what I think I would have seen, right? But I don't really know the perception that other people had of me at that time. And I'm really grateful to you. Yeah, you're gonna make me cry. I'm really grateful to you that you have seen the full journey, because what we show up with for some years is just part of it.
Totally.
You know? And it's like, thank you for believing in me, and thank you for setting that example for other people. I think it's such a beautiful example of grace and Christ-like love for other people, that you can look at somebody and know this is just a part of your journey. It's not who you are.
Yeah, of course.
Right? It's just what you're doing right now. It's not who you are. And I think that is such a big... People don't share, I think, on social or with other people, because they're concerned about the permanent perception of that moment in time. And I think when you have been the tree trying to grow, you allow so much more space for other people to just be what they are. They're experiencing what they're experiencing. It's not who they are.
Yeah, I have this quote at the bottom of my email for years that I've shared about people needing to be more like tailors.
Yeah.
That anytime they meet you, they come in and they measure you where you are, rather than expecting what they've always known you to be.
Yes.
And that's not the actual quote, but this is the idea, because people are like that idea that you can't step in the same river twice. You know, I see this in families, the difficulty of like the expectation to hold your role when you come back together as a family, but you're an entire universe. You've changed, you've grown, you have wisdom. I'm not the same person as the oldest daughter in my family in my life, but when I come back together, sometimes we're expected in our groups, when we come back into reunions, when we meet people. I think one of my greatest loves of my life, and I don't have any right to claim it though, is when I have seen somebody long enough that you're seeing other people see them in some of their best moments, and you're just like so proud.
Yes.
Like, I'm so proud of who you are. I don't have any right to be like, but like, because I have known you when, and you were whole and amazing and resilient then, even in your struggles, and you're whole and resilient and amazing now. But to see other people, like one of the examples I'll give is when I found out that you were an ambassador for Build Them Blessed, I was like, amen. Of course they see her and want her to be somebody. Of course they want people to be able to have her be a keynote. Like Carrie has ABC, but you always had that. But so growing in the right places creates opportunity for other people to see the different parts. But
I love that, because it goes back to the question that you asked me, you know, tell me a little bit about this work that I'm doing right now. I think one of the biggest, you know, when you go through something so major, Kylie, you wrote a book, you know, it has to have some place to go. You know, it needs some place to go. You're like,
as a writer, I believe that needs to be written. Yes. But yes,
I got to put it on a shelf. I got to like put it in a box. It has to go somewhere right now, right? Because it is not what I'm doing right now, but it's a part of the journey. So for me, I think one of the biggest narratives running through this whole entire experience for the last like decade, you know, and a half of my life has been, how do I wrap this up? How do I summarize? How do I say what I felt in those moments in a way that I feel concrete? right? That I feel
Yes.
good about and I can put out there to the world.
How do I grab the principles?
Yeah. And
or the
stick 'em in-
learnings?
And there's so much, you know?
Yes.
And so, I mean, I have not written a book. I would love to write a book, but the process of writing the book requires that you actually go back to live in those moments. And when you have lived in so many moments, that is a chore. That is a job,
Yes.
you know? And so I haven't done that yet.
Yet.
So, but
I like the yet,
yes,
Carrie.
I haven't done it
so
yet.
let it be said.
So that's right. I put it out there. I said it. But I think for me, the thread that I've been trying to capture is, what did I feel in this whole thing? You know, bankruptcy, financial, massive financial disruption. I became the sole income owner, blah, 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 all the things. I am on my own with these 3 kids.
Yeah.
Even in my marriage, I am on my own with these 3 kids. Now I'm divorced with these 3 kids. What was the common thread that kept running through this? Can I do it? Can I do it? Can I do it? Can I do it? And when it was really the worst of it, Kylee, when it was really the worst of this experience, was me laying on my floor completely naked after my shower, sobbing to God, sobbing
Just
to
raw.
God. Just like, I have nothing left. Like, I don't even know. I don't even know how to do. I don't know anything. I don't even know if I can. I don't know if I have any value in the world right now. Which, hindsight, I'm like, Carrie, what a ridiculous question. Of course you do. You're crying out to your maker
Inherent
to ask if
worth.
you have value.
Yeah.
What do you think he's going to say? Like, when you're up, you got tons of value to me. No. But in that moment, you just feel so beaten, so broken, and you don't know that you have value, and you don't know that what the world is requiring of you is in you to do. And I thought to myself, we diminish. There were stages of diminishing and building and diminishing and building and diminishing and building every single time, right? Refined resilience. Every single time there was a new challenge, I had to figure out if I had the worth and the value. Was it in me already to be able to go to the next level of that thing? Could I do it? And so how this keynote, this full value keynote, came to pass is that, with that thought in mind, kind of living in me, you know, how do I describe this? Because I think this is thousands and thousands of women feel this on a daily basis, right?
How do I grab it and create,
how do I create
bite-sized pieces?
Yeah, how do I put it out there? So I was standing in the parking lot a few months ago with my friend, and I said, oh my gosh, I love that sweater, you know? And she said, oh, girl, thank you. It was 40% off at TJ Maxx. I think they're still on sale. You could probably get one too. And all of a sudden in me, I thought, that's it. We discount and diminish ourselves on a daily basis as if it is just casual conversation, right? And the more that we
learned behavior,
that,
right?
Yeah. The more, and we're programmed to do that. Say you're sorry, apologize, diminish. Especially when you come into being a mom, you're serving everybody else. You don't put yourself first, ever, right? It's your husband, it's your kids, it's the dog, it's the house, whatever. So for me, I thought, when we start that learned behavior over time, teaches us to not have a voice. Mm-hmm. It teaches us to minimize the emotions that we're experiencing, the needs that we have.
And also on top of that's what we should do, and that's the good thing.
And that's the good thing.
That to me is the most
thing.
gaslighting
Right. Yeah.
And all of this is that but this is what I meant to be. Is this
amazing thing. Well, and the other part of this too, Kylee, in this moment of laying on the floor, and I use a moment, but it was a good period of time. I also apologized for the deficiency. I didn't focus on the beautiful things that I had already created that I could leverage or offer. I focused on the deficiencies. The discount is what I focused on. The discount is what keeps us in that victim state.
For sure.
Right? It's the discount of saying, I can't, I don't know how, I don't think I have, right? Whatever that
this
is
for
for
you.
You.
This is the comparison that is the thief of joy too, right? There.
Yes. And I lived that, fully in that moment. So to realize that like from, oh my gosh, I bought this for a discounted price at TJ Maxx to I am a discount, right? I am not worthy. I don't have what it takes. I am not full value because I have deficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
And you say that enough to yourself, and that's what you believe over time.
And that is also how you show up.
And that is how you show up.
And so how people feel, and like we are a product of our beliefs, and our beliefs inform our behavior,
right?
And our behavior informs our connection.
Yeah.
So
So I had to form an alter ego.
Yeah.
So everybody that follows me on social knows I love Wonder Woman, right? I'm not like a big comic fan, but I love her because she looks amazing and she's fighting off the bad guys and she's doing all the things with her crown.
She's empowered.
She's just her own person, and she's like, what? I'm Wonder Woman, like back off. So for me to get out of that discount, I had to find somebody else who could embody what I wanted to be. And so I just used Wonder Woman. All right, it's you and I, Wonder Woman. We're out in the world today. I may have a discount, but you don't, right? And so I think finding those role models in our life, finding those women, those sages in our life that can help us navigate when we feel the deficiency more than other times in our life is the community that we all need.
Totally.
Because we're not all at the same space at all the same time. Some of us are going to feel like I'm a bad mom right now. Why do we feel that way? You had children, period. You're an amazing mom. You had them.
You had them and you kept them alive with your body.
Yes. Like it's amazing.
It is remarkable.
I feel like all the different ways that we discount, somebody else has a full value perspective for how you feel inefficient. Right?
Yes.
They can balance you. And so finding those wells, finding those communities, creating those wells.
Yes.
I have a deficiency, so I need you.
Yeah.
I'm not in competition with you. I'm operating at full value so I can see that I need you to complete this. I'm not small-minded. I don't want to compete. I want to bring you. I want to grow together.
Mindset.
I want to collaborate together because that's how we make the train move.
Totally. And there's this interesting, I've seen this trend. This is one of the many trends that they have on social media. One of the trends that I've really liked is this phrase that says, you have the life that somebody is dreaming of having. This is like a thing.
Yeah.
It made me stop in my tracks because I was like, how often are we looking back at our growth versus comparing where we want to be going? Gosh, how much more peace, how much more, I don't know, stillness we need to have in our lives to be able to like allow ourselves to be grateful for the growth of where we are today compared to where we were before. Because we kind of, and especially as women, I think we kind of live in, and especially women in America, and I would even say in some church groups even more, like we sort of live in this idea that like I only have value when I'm producing.
Yes.
And whatever that is.
Yes.
If I'm a mother, if I'm having kids, if I write a book, if I start a podcast,
women feel that so much more than men, I think. I think women feel like I've got to produce something. I have to show my value. I think men show up like, okay, I'm here. Like, you know what I mean? There's no like apologizing. There's no discounting. They just show up as themselves. And I feel my personal opinion and my experience is that women show up at a default all the time in their own mind. We show up somehow trying to prove that we deserve to be at the table or we deserve to be in the conversation or that we're worth love and compassion and grace and romance and all the things, right? I'm worth it. Look at all the things that I'm doing.
Yeah. I just want to be like, the things are not you. They're not your worth.
Yeah.
Obviously, a theme that I have that I want to give and I want to put out is that like we have a belief that I have very strongly, which is a spiritual gift of mine, but is that like we are inherently worthy.
Yeah, period.
We are inherently loved.
Yeah.
We don't have to do anything to get that or to receive that. I do think that like what a gift it is for people who decide to do something with it.
Yeah.
Right? Say like, okay, so I'm going to build a well. I'm going to invite people, or I'm going to go over to someone else as well, because I don't think there's any less value if you're not a producer, but if you are like, how do I connect myself? I think we have times and seasons, like you said, in our lives. Sometimes we're really good at producing. Sometimes we're in our rest. We're in a like gather the fortify. We're gonna fortify. Sometimes we're moving very quickly. Sometimes we're moving very slow. Sometimes we really, and I think women have a hard time in this area. Sometimes we need to be in a state of receiving, and we don't do that very well.
Well, and I think this is part of this full value keynote that I've put together, is that we have to relearn how to receive. Right? We received a lot when we were young, little kids, right? We learn not to receive over time. We learn that everybody else is more important than me, and I discount myself in this space. So we have to learn how to receive love and attention and grace and all of those things that we've talked about before. And I think that starts with you. Like, you cannot receive from other people unless you can give and receive to yourself.
Gotta have a full bucket.
Right? Yeah. And so I think that season of, so the method that I like to share in my keynote is the hat method, because I didn't wear a hat today, but normally I
was
have a
actually
hat
surprised.
I know.
But I love it. No, I love it. Yes.
So, but the hat method is to honor. So honor what has been, right? Align with what is, and then take action. Yeah. Right? That's it. It's really simple. It's like, we don't have to live in the past. We can honor the past. We can say that was me. We can align with what we need to be doing right now. And sometimes, Kylie, to your point, that is sitting in a space of literally allowing receiving to happen. Yeah. I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to feel the love that is coming into my life and the good things that I have. And that's the season.
And that is not weak.
And that's
so
not
many
weak,
people equate that with
selfish.
Yeah, that.
And that's the thing that I think women often feel like, if I'm not constantly producing something, I'm not doing anything in the world. But if you're not receiving something, you're not growing in the world.
And also that gift, like, I think so much when we're having a hard time receiving, we're very self-focused. The thing about receiving is someone on the other end is feeling like, when someone receives graciously, like, it's a synergy, right? Yes. It's this 1 + 1 = 3. Yeah. Like, we have a greater good, right? Because I was able to give and you were able to receive, and it's a win-win.
Yes. Well, I can't even tell you how many times I'll give a compliment to someone and they'll say, "Oh yeah, it's okay for what blah blah blah. It's okay for being 20 pounds overweight. It's okay for," and I'm like, "I'm sorry. Let's try this again."
Yes,
like,
please.
Here's a compliment.
Let's go back.
All you have to do is say thank you.
Yeah.
You know, and I see it all the time. I find myself doing that sometimes as well, right? So I think just being really aware that is an exchange. I'm asking to exchange energy with you in a positive way. I'm not trying to build your ego, right? And I don't want you to discount yourself, because then that diminishes the gift that I want to give you.
Totally.
You know, and so I really love that too. And I think that, again, is part of honoring who you are and aligning with who you are, is that you are able to practice receiving things, right? Yeah. Because if you can't do that, Kylie, you can't see what's coming to you either. You can't see what to give somebody else, you know? And so I love that concept. And the next thing for me is take action. You asked way early in the interview, how did you do this? And it's interesting because for me, it was a challenge to go through that experience, but it wasn't difficult for me once I made that decision to take action on it. Yeah. Right. And then what came out of that was an expectation that, well, all women will just take action. Like, this is just what we do, you know. And a few years into that, you realize, oh, this is not what we're not all built the same. We're not all like just go-getters and like create things and make things happen. You know, like you said, everybody's at a different place in a journey with different gifts, right? And so my empathy and my understanding of how people build themselves grew, because all of a sudden I was like, oh, you guys aren't doing it the way I'm doing it? Well, that's okay. Well, how are you doing it? Right. You know? And the expectation then became less about, well, why can't you just get up and go like I've been doing? And it became more about, how can I help you take action?
There's so many ways to get out of the hole, right? That the way that I got out of the hole seems to be the way that works. Yeah. But like looking around and saying, how many others got out of the hole. And then also realizing some people will never be able to get out of
Will
the
never
hole
be
without
able.
a ladder.
Yeah.
Who's building the ladder?
Yeah.
How do we put the ladder in there? Like,
Right.
yeah, this whole
Yeah.
thing.
So I think taking action without expectation of others around you, you're taking the action for yourself. It's not attached to an outcome, right? It's not attached to you will have the same outcome that I have if you take action. It's attached to I'm just simply doing it, like you
Yeah.
mentioned earlier.
Even
I'm
as an invitation,
doing it,
taking
just
action as
starting
an
it.
invitation to others too.
Yeah.
Sometimes modeling is the best gift you can give
Yeah.
people is
Yeah.
just doing it.
That's right.
And as scary as it is, it's like, oh, she didn't die doing that,
Yeah.
metaphorically or otherwise. Maybe I can also do that.
Right.
Right.
Well, and doing that with grace too, because I think a lot of times really strong women, I think we enter on the other side of adversity, we enter into the world like Shira, like we're gonna take it all on, like we can do it all, like I'll fight all the terrible, awful things, and we have a little chip on our shoulder sometimes because we were able to go through that. And look at us, we're doing amazing, whatever amazing is to you, right? And I think being able to go through that transition or transformation, whichever one it is, hopefully transformation, but going through that the way that you took action, and knowing that other people don't take action in the same way allows you to have greater empathy for what they are going through. And it allows you to better understand how then you can support other people. Yeah. So I think that chip on the shoulder of like, I succeeded, you should too, right? It just has to, there's no room for it.
Yeah.
There's just no room for it at the well. There's no chips on the shoulder at the well. We're all like, we've all arrived here, no matter how we got here. But like now that we're here, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Are we going to build this thing? Are
Build
we
the
going to dig
kingdom.
the
Here
thing?
we go.
Gonna,
Yeah.
So like, I don't care how you did it. I am proud of you because you
got
did
here.
it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think the other side of this that I wanted to share briefly is, there is something you cannot give other people. And that is part of the journey of learning and growing that you did. That is sort of when you climb the mountain, you get to see the view. Nobody else gets to see because unless they climb the mountain.
Yeah.
And not from a pride point, but like I'll give you a real life example. I remember when I was a lot younger, so I played the piano and I put a lot of time and energy into it. I did not come by it easily, I guess. Yeah. I now know that I have ADHD and I have spatial problems. I didn't know that then. But like it wasn't, some people just are gifted.
Which is amazing.
And natural.
Kylie, because look what you did with that.
But this is what I mean beautiful. By like really hard, lots of practice. Impacted for a while my relationship with my mom because she was one of those moms, many people can relate to this, who was like, all my kids will learn a musical instrument. I'm grateful for that now. But like there was a cost for it. Well, fast forward, I think I was in my mid-20s or something, and I ended up playing at something, and this person came up to me, and they were well-meaning, I'm sure, and they were just like, "Oh my gosh, you play so beautifully. I could never play like that." Like, well, they were discounting themselves, but also sort of discounting. Like it was a mutual discount. Does this make sense?
Yes.
And it was a moment where I realized I was like. And it's so funny because this is what I said to the person. I've never since and probably never will. But I said to this person, and it wasn't in front of anybody, so I wasn't publicly making fun of them. I said, "But you could." And they kind of stopped because they were sort of trying to compliment me, but they were diminishing us both. And they were like, "Oh, what do you mean?" And I was like, "Well, if you wanted to play the piano, like it's a skill that you can learn, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of hours." I'm sure this person who I don't know was like, okay, whatever, and walked away. That conversation was more for me than it was for them. Yeah. But there is this idea and this concept sometimes that when we look at people that have things that we dismiss ourselves, it's easier for us to say, "Oh, but I wish I could do that," than it is to say, ask myself, like, what do I need to do if I want that thing? Or what are the steps I need? This is just the hard slodge of life sometimes, right? Like there isn't a magic pill or something that says in order to I'll just use the book as an example. How many people want to write a book? Like, I'll just be honest. I've coached a bunch of people writing books. Like writing a book is really hard, but let me tell you what most people don't do.
Yeah.
Start.
Yeah.
So the people that like, some of the best books that are out there are not written by the best writers. They're just written by people who wrote and wrote it down.
Yeah.
Because those are the people that have it to share it. And this analogy, I think, is something that I love about you. I love about many of the friends that I have. It isn't that I think that they have this special space in the world or mark. It's that they said, I would like that, or I would like to do that, or I'd like to grow in that way, or I'd like to have that relationship. And then they started work. They worked. They put one foot in front of the other. They got in the rooms. They were on LinkedIn.
Well, and if you don't know how,
showed up.
If you don't know how, and I think about that often. It's not that people don't want to do that. It's that they don't know how to take the want and turn it into action. They just don't know what that gap
initial,
is. Yeah, it's like, well, how do I do that, right? And so I love, we talk about belonging and community. Find those women in your life. For the women out there, find the women in your life that have modeled what it looks like to take action. Ask them for help. Most women will give help to you if you ask. They will give you the time.
And I just want to say, for free, because this is the thing that a lot of people think. You have to pay for a coach, you have to pay for a therapist, or you have to pay for a program. And I just want to say, I started a nonprofit and I didn't know a thing about it and didn't have a degree. Like, we live in an age, I'm not like always pro AI or pro, but we live in an age where you at your fingertips have so much access that you've never had before. That, like, if you, for example, want to start a nonprofit and you don't know what it's like to start a nonprofit or how to put together a board, can I just tell you that there are 1,000 YouTubes of people who have decided to spend their time filming how to create a board, and you don't have to pay for that.
That's right.
That is a free resource that I know this because when I was the chair of my board of my nonprofit, I was like, I don't know a thing about being on a board. I don't have any money. And I went to YouTube and I learned so much from other people. Like, sometimes you can pay. And sometimes you can't, but like, yes, I do think there is a disconnect for people on how do I initiate, how do I start?
And I think it's very simple. We want to make it really complicated, but it's really simple, Kylie. Do I want it? Well, if I want that, then what do I have to do to get that? That's it. If you cannot, like, look at that process from, I am a very inverted thinker. So I see big picture and then I work backwards.
Begin with the end in mind.
Always.
This is a Covey principle. I love it.
So, and I'm so grateful for it because I'm like, oh, that's me, right? So I connect with that totally. But I think not everybody can think big picture, and the next step for them is the mountain.
So big.
You know what I mean? And so
overwhelming.
That's what I was saying earlier. For me, because I'm a big picture person, it was easy for me to take action, easier, because I could see what it was that I was trying to do.
And you can back up here and be like, what do I have to do here to get here?
To get there. And I didn't really micro it because I wasn't working in the forward way, right? I didn't really micro my steps. I just thought, well, this step probably gets me a little bit closer to that, so I'll try that. For people that are sitting in that space where the mountain is in the way of the vision, I think one of the things that is most helpful is to literally just be still. Be still in that moment, right? And start thinking about the very next action item. This is a principle from Getting Things Done with David Allen, which I love that book. What is the very next action that I can take to move the mountain, right? It may be very small. It might just be waking up in the morning and saying, I'm grateful for. Maybe it's, today I'm going to look at 2 YouTube videos. Today, we're not talking about, like, the process is not, you have to do it all at this, in this period of time in order for you to get to the top of the mountain. We're saying, girl, it's a journey. Like, every day you're going to have to do something. But the decision to do something is the most important part of this, right?
Yeah.
So
it's a tipping point.
If you can't, whether you are looking at the outcome or you're just trying to move the mountain, it is the choice, right? That it is the crossroads of that choice that will make an impact for you. And that's the thing that a lot of women say to me, I don't know how you did this. How are you so put together. Well, and inside I'm like, I'm just living my life.
I'm taking the next best step.
I'm just taking the next action. I'm doing the next action, whatever that is today.
Yeah.
Right. And I think we get overwhelmed by, well, we want this big outcome and there's this mountain in the way and I don't know how to do all the things. And really all it is like, I got to put my tennis shoes on if I want to go on the walk. So put the shoes on.
And I want to say to those who have been marinating and have been still, another suggestion that I would give that's been really helpful for me. Now, for some people, this is overwhelming. So just for those of you who are listening, to me, the most generative spaces are when I put myself with other people who are also wanting to have this growth mindset and they're also creative. Maybe they don't know exactly what they want to do, but the way they talk about the world and the way they talk about their business or they talk about whatever, like sparks this generative creative. I know here in Utah, Silicon Slopes, I know like a lot of people, I have kind of a love affair with tech. I'm not in the tech world, by the way. I'm a therapist, but
well, so you are in the tech world.
There's a lot of people. Yeah, I guess I'm in all the worlds, but there has been a movement over the last like 8 years or so of people sort of just showing up. Right? Like you show up at this event or you show up at this lunch or you show up at this thing. And most of that started with people who just decided one day that they were going to maybe be more present on their LinkedIn. Maybe they were going to post, not every day, but maybe a little bit more. Or maybe they were going to go add some people, like these small, and then they are invited or they know someone that's I can only speak for me. This is my experience. And then there's some kind of thing that like is an open invitation and you just decide I'm going to go, whether I have somebody with me or not. I'm going to show up being in that generative space where other people also just, what I found is that we're a lot of single people that didn't have a friend or another person who also decided to show up, and there's a generative spirit in that. And so I'm using LinkedIn as an example of a social media a media platform that has turned into really offline real people connecting. You can use whatever example you have in your life, but I think you need both. I think you need to marinate in that liminal space. I think you need to be still. I think you need to like name the things that you want and put them out there. And I also think there's a time when you don't quite know what you're doing to like, get on the train, get in the well, get in the box, whatever it is. Surround yourself with other people who are also becoming. Yeah. They haven't quite figured it out. Sometimes you're in the room and some people have kind of figured some things out. And that's great too. But like something about swimming in the space with people that are just sparking creativity. You leave feeling inspired. You leave feeling, I think, more capable if you're in the right mindset. Like I said, sometimes you can feel overwhelmed, but if you come in the space and with like a good intention, with grace, you usually leave those spaces with like a normalization that you didn't come into the space, which is like, oh, I see myself in the people around me. Yeah. If they can do it, I can do it. Like it, whatever that the voice champion is.
It's the champion community, right? Like, it's not, and that's not always the voices telling you that you can. It is that quiet internalization of, oh, other people can. And I want to come back to Kylie to just when you are still before you take that next action, right? So that you can actually build the courage, the energy, whatever it is that you need to build in that moment. I would encourage people to go back to challenges that they've previously had to go through and realize they actually do have it within them. Yes. Just because this challenge looks different than the ones that previously came doesn't mean that you're any less capable or that you don't have the qualities and skills to go through this challenge. It just means that you need to utilize them in a different way.
And on that, I want to say, this is the power of writing. I'm just going to always say to people, if you can keep a journal, you can go back and look at what you've done and you have your own words. Another thing I love to tell people is the people along your journey in your life, they are your keepers of your lived experience. So don't be too afraid to say to your best friend or your kid or your partner, can you remind me, what did you see when I went through this? This is a vulnerable question.
I've done that with my
ask
kids,
people,
actually.
But my best friend recently said, do you think that I've changed so much? She's going through a very big health problem. And I said, and we had our own little private moment of my reflect experience for her. And it was it was such a gift. It was generous that she asked the question that I was able to give it to her. But I've known her since she was 19. So we have had 26 years of lived experience. And I said the same thing to her. I was like, man, I'm so grateful on the journey of this life that if I ever needed to like lean into somebody or ask somebody about how I have overcome or how I've been resilient, that I don't have to rely on me.
Yeah.
But like there are keepers of our lived story and how powerful it is. We sometimes do have to be willing. And it sounds like you have done this with your kids, you said.
Yeah.
How did that go?
You know, I think I'm a very communicative parent. I have tried to be anyway. Sometimes I'm better at it than others. But I think that question was really important for me because, again, going back to the perceived, experience of somebody else watching you, we don't often think of what perception is my pain causing in my family for the other people around me. And so I really wanted to, when I became aware that my pain was, I was projecting a lot of that pain and survival, mode onto my children. I just asked, tell me what this has done for you or not for you. Tell me how you're feeling about this. Describe what your experience has been with me, and let me own what I can. And then let me set you free of the things that are not yours. Right. And this is my life, and I will take this, and I want your honest, transparent opinion because I'm going to give it back to you someday too.
Yeah.
Right. We're going to do this forever. And it was a really empowering experience to just sit in that moment with the people that you love the most, that are closest to you, that have seen the journey from the inside out, and have them tell you, well, these are the things that have been really hard that we've felt from you in this situation, but these are the things that you've done really, really well. And so I can attest to this exercise of asking other people to share with you. Please be honest with me. Who am I to you? Right? If you had to describe me in 3 or 4 words, what would that be? And if you had to say, these are the great things about me, and these are some things that I could work on, we have to be open to that for growth.
Well, critical feedback is, I think, the essence of resilience.
Yeah.
I do.
Yes.
Like whether life gives it to you without you asking, or whether you actually ask and sit. I can't imagine. I mean, this is the growth in a marriage. This is a growth in relationship. This is a growth in boss and supervisee. Like in all these capacities, the ability to sort of, sometimes we're it's unsolicitedly, this is the least helpful, but like if we can get to a place in our life where we can solicit safely critical feedback, this is where the most growth happens, right? Because people love you, they're not trying to hurt you, but because if you genuinely ask, we have these, I mean, this is why therapy works, I think, is because we have these blind spots. We cannot get to them ourselves. Yeah. We only can get to them in relation.
Yes.
Right? So like if you can get to it in relation with your people, great. Then you don't need therapy, great. Like I mean, it's not for everybody, but many people can't. Which is why we have the space where somebody who's safe can like help you see blind spots and help you know that you have everything inside you already. But now you're aware of those, right? So this ability to sit with people in safe, I want to always say safe, critical feedback, gives us the space to actually do so much growing.
Well, it creates resilient community. Yes. That's what it creates. I mean, the questions create resilience, right? The curiosity of what your situation is and what your environment is and what you can do about it and what good things you have to offer and what you need to work on. Honest, transparent conversations with yourself, assessments of where you are. It is, for me, critical to resilience, like the long game of resilience, right?
Yeah.
And I think, and it's also critical to resilient communities. How do we rebuild our community? How do we build, if I'm working with kids, how do I build these kids? How do I...
And I want to say sustainable.
Yes.
Right? Because we do have a lot of false
types
of things that the world has there, and we're looking for real
Well, we're looking for real belonging. Yeah. And when you create those safe spaces and you can assess yourself honestly and transparently, you have the space to figure out what that next action is, which is why I said, just be still, right, for a minute, because you can take a minute to take yourself out of victim mindset and look at the landscape of things and say, where am I really in this challenge? And what do I have control over? Me only, right?
Always, yes.
Yeah. What do I have control over? And if I have control over these three things, then what is the next step on the journey within the things that I can control? And that for me, that was the most powerful thought.
Yes.
I have control over only these things. So what can I do within these three things? Well, what would be the easiest to attack first?
Yeah.
You know?
I have, using the tree analogy, and I'm going to ask you just a couple more questions. I have this thought often about my begin with the end in mind about things. Like, what are the seeds that I need to plant today to grow the trees of the future, right? But this idea, like, okay, one, I'm doing the things today. I'm starting the things so that, and I'm not so worried, like you said, I'm not so attached to an outcome.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've talked about this, but I'm going to make this known.
Yeah.
Many times the outcome, by the way, changes so much from what we thought it was in our growing and in our planting. I do have this specific question about that for you. When you look at yourself, we'll just say 5 years, Carrie, when you look at yourself 5 years from now, what are the seeds that you want to or feel like you already are planting today in order to grow, your tree 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
Such a good question. Yeah. I am, we talked about a season of rest, and I feel like I'm in my soul is turning to a season of rest right now. It's been treading water for a really long time, and I want to recognize and show gratitude for the communities that have allowed me to be a part of them, whether that's on social media or in real life. Like, these communities are a part of my story.
Yeah.
They're a part of my journey. The connections that I have made have given me hope.
Yeah.
They've given me acceptance. They've given me joy,
place at the table,
peace, a place to talk. I mean, it is everything. These people that are in my life now that I never even knew could be in my life even 3 years ago, and I think I look at all of these people, and I'm so grateful for them in my journey and roles that they don't even know that they've played. And I had this conversation with a friend the other day, and she was saying, she was talking about her primary driver is finances, or to make money, right? And she said, that is a driver for me. I love it. I have so much joy in that space. But when is enough enough? And I said, it's funny because I think when we talk about community, especially in a social media or networking capacity, we're always collecting people, right? We're always looking for other people that are doing cool things that we can collaborate with or do with. And I had that, as she was saying that, I thought, when is enough enough? My community is big. It's amazing. I have enough. So now I get to rest for a minute, because I've spent so much time cultivating and being cultivated that now these people aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And so now I can go inward and I can look at the big landscape of everything and say, what is it that I need to do now? I need to take care of my body.
Yeah.
I need to heal my body, right? Because it's exhausted. It's tired.
Yeah.
I need to reset my intention. I need to reconnect with God on the purpose that I need to fulfill now. We're not in survival mode. We're in thriving mode now.
Yeah.
So thriving requires a reset.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at right now. So you asked me, in 5 years, I hope that this beautiful community, this well of amazing people in my life, continues to be there, and that we do amazing things together. We build amazing wells for other people, whether that be speaking events or amazing podcast or panels or whatever that looks like, or awesome lunches. I don't care. I want it to have meaning, and I want it to be impactful. And my mission will always be to uplift women. It will always be that, to uplift women where they are, not where I want them to be or where they want to be. Where are you right now? And how can I support you in that space? So in 5 years, I hope that I've spoken on a lot of stages about full value, offering the HAT method. I hope that there's a lot of opportunity to meet other women, to co-create things, on the note of women, Kylie, I just want to share this
Yeah.
amazing insight that probably lots of people have thought about, but I didn't think about it. My daughter, Brianna, 24, we were talking about Adam and Eve, right? This balance of relationship. And she said, Mom, Eve wasn't created second because Adam was lonely. Eve was created second because she's the culminating embodiment of the entire universe. It is Adam's job to protect the universe. And I never, for all of the work that I've done, and for all of the amazing people that are in wellness and therapy that understand this principle, I think it's a slow principle for most women to come to in understanding that we really do have the entire universe. We are the most precious thing that God created, that He saved us as the pinnacle of His creations.
Amen.
And so when we're sitting in that closet naked in front of God saying, I can't, I don't have it, it's not in me, I don't have worth and value, you are literally saying the universe does not exist. Because if you do not have value, then the universe cannot be true either.
Yeah.
It is all in you, and it is everything that we want to do is in us. We just have to find the way, and that's what we pray for. Show me the way.
Yeah. And sometimes
Right?
we want the floodlight, and sometimes
Yeah.
we get the lead kindly light, one
Yeah.
step
Right.
enough. This is what I think the challenge for
Yeah.
some people is they want to pray and they want the plan revealed.
Yeah.
And sometimes God says, here's the step one.
Yep.
Or even you already know.
Yeah.
Just like go.
Oh,
Or like
that
I've given you
intuition is-
agency,
Yes,
use that
you use
agency.
Like I said,
Yeah.
God put that idea in my heart to create something for women, and He walked away.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't know, you'll figure it out. Like, I trust you.
The outcome is not nearly as important as
not
the process,
as the
right? As the
journey.
becoming.
Yeah.
Let me ask you two more questions. One question is, the woman that was laying on the floor naked, she has everything that you have today.
Mm.
But there is wisdom, there is grace, there is growth in our adversity and our becoming.
Mm.
And I wonder what this is a very therapeutic question, but I wonder what you would say to her today from where you're standing
That
now.
is a very therapy question.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Meaning just like it makes you think, right?
Yeah.
Like I want you to have to think about what would you say to her? And I also wanted to say for sure so people knew like she has everything.
Yeah.
She's in a low moment. But like
Yeah.
you have gained insight and wisdom and growth in the last 10 years. What would you say to her?
So I shared this on our mutual friend Curtis Morley's podcast too, but I don't have a guardian angel. I have a caseworker. Right? And her name's Lakeisha, and she's got all the black girl energy that I need. And she's the other woman that I tap into when I'm like really in a hard spot and I'm trying to like pick myself up off the ground. I hear this, this alter ego voice that says, girl, you better get up off your knees. Like, what are you crying for? We don't got time to cry. There's work to be done. I think that is what I would say to her, to that. And I would hold her and I would tell her, there's work to be done. Let's go. Yeah. You don't have time. Feel this moment. Just feel the moment. And then let's go to work.
Yeah.
And it's going to be okay on the other side. You're going to do this and I got you.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm waiting for you to get to me, and like, let's see this thing through.
Yeah.
And
there's love to be felt and received.
Oh my gosh. So much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there are things that I would have done so differently, Kylie, if I knew in that moment to do something different.
Of course.
But I didn't.
This is the thing about life and growing is
Yeah.
that we only get to experience the way we can.
But I have so much love for that woman who could stand in the doorway with you and cry and say, Kylie, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. I do too.
I don't know. I have so much love for her because I look back and I think that was such a tender time in my life. And if we don't love ourselves through those tender moments and we don't allow the receival of God's love in our life for those tender moments, we don't ever move. We never move and we can't give it back.
Yeah.
Right? We can't give it back to other people.
And I want to do a big shout out to people who are sitting on this side of the table.
Yeah.
I want to say, I remember walking into a big conference where lots of people were speaking, and you and I passed really quickly, and you put your arm around me and you're like, hey, hey, hey. And I stood back in that room and I saw you move around the room and I saw how people interacted with you. And I saw you in the doorway. Yeah. I was like, look how far you've come. Yeah. It was a beautiful moment. And I guess I want to say to people, part of connection and part of belonging is feeding that back. I mean, I get a chance to do this in public on a podcast, but I hope and I want to invite people, when you see people, when you get to witness people in their journey, please don't hold back. Please don't see and recognize and think without, we have a million ways to communicate that. You can text, you can Instagram, you can Marco Polo, you can do it in person. But I think one of the best gifts we can give people is the way that we see them, because we don't see ourselves the same way that other people see us. And I think, anyway, it was a really cool.
Thank you.
It was a cool moment for me to be able to be like,
that.
and I was excited. I was like, I'll be on your podcast, come on my podcast. But for me, there's some things in life that you just can't have and receive unless you live them, right? You're living side by side with people. My last question for you, two, I have a last question. You've kind of answered it, but I would love to give you a moment to do it succinctly. Well, before I ask the last question, is there anything else that you feel like really prompted or that you want to share that you didn't feel like you got asked or that you want to share?
I think there's nothing like super big, but I will just simply say, Kylie, that being able to see other people along their journey is like that creates the most belonging. When you are seen, when someone looks at you and says to you, I am proud of your journey. And to your point, don't hold back. I don't hold back anything. If I see someone with nice skin, I say, oh my gosh, your skin is gorgeous, because you have no idea like what that does for that person. And if you feel it, it was felt for a reason to share it and recognize when the growth is happening. I think that's one of the hardest challenges for ourselves, but also to see in other people, is that we watch it. To your point, we watch it and it's so nice to see, but unless somebody's verbalizing that to you and that positive reinforcement is coming consistently, it's hard to keep that sometimes, And so if you feel proud of someone, if you're happy to see them on their journey, if you stood in the doorway with them crying and you send a text that says, oh my gosh, so happy that you're in this place, it could change the entire trajectory of a person's life.
It's an invitation for the stillness, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we're just hustling so much.
Yes.
And when somebody says, hey, I knew you when, and I can't believe you can't, like, it's an invitation for you as a person to stop and be like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's also validation to the person that the work that they've done
literally
matters, right? That it actually shows. And I think everyone needs to hear that. And I do think that it creates belonging. Like even somebody that I, tell my server or whoever it is, you have amazing skin, all of a sudden she feels like, oh, this is a safe table.
Totally.
This is a good person. This is a nice person. Now I feel like I can serve you better, or I can be more myself with you. Or it creates a sense of acceptance and belonging. And I think no matter how much we receive and give, we're always looking for the belonging, right? And we have different stages of belonging. This community, maybe I belonged to for a while and I took this away from it. And now this season requires this community, and I belong in all of them. I just have different seasons of belonging.
Yeah. And that's my last question. When you hear the word belonging, connection, community, what does that mean to you personally?
I think it really just means being safe to be me. I create the safety within myself to be me, right? And if I don't do that first, then no matter what community I seek to belong in, I won't. I will always feel at some deficiency, at some discount. So I feel like going into having transparent, open, honest assessment conversations with yourself creates quite a bit of I belong to me, right? And I know me. And therefore, when I am in a community, I can assess whether or not this community supports me. And if it doesn't, that's okay.
Yeah.
Then we're going to move on to another community. But I always belong to myself, no matter what community I'm in. I will be drawn to the community that supports who I am right now.
Yeah. I mean, in my therapeutic worlds, this is what we call boundaries, like having good enough healthy boundaries that like we're not at the whim of everybody and everything, right?
Yes.
Like,
well, and your time, you protect your time, you protect your energy more, you protect your relationships more. Belonging to you when we're not in a season of building. Building requires that we're busy outwardly,
Totally.
that we're in it, right? But a season of belonging to yourself during rest, right, requires that we are able to just be and belong to you. And we don't have to be in the busyness of the productive season at the moment, right? It could be a short season, it could be a long season. It doesn't matter. It's what you're doing right now. And I think also giving yourself the grace that you're just doing what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
You're not failing. You're not succeeding. There's nothing. You're just becoming. You're just becoming.
In the messy middle, we say.
In the messy middle. And that's okay. So I think just allowing for safety, transparent and honest conversations and assessments with yourself and giving yourself permission to be in the season that you are in creates belonging to your own soul, right? And that's my definition.
My last question, and I don't ask everybody this, but I feel really prompted to ask you, but and the little that I know of you, even just today, you have a pretty incredible relationship with your creator. I don't know what you call him, but I would like to ask this question. What does it mean to you to be known?
I believe, Kylee, that it is directly connected to my relationship with God. Like, I am already known. Going back to this like inherent value, I am a creation of a divine being. Therefore, I have inherent worth as a creation of a divine being. Being known means that we're actually having a conversation, right? I'm actually talking to him and hopefully receiving, and he's talking to me, and sometimes I'm not going to receive, and it's a real relationship. Sometimes that relationship says, God, I'm in a season where I need your grace. I need your mercy. I need your empathy. I need call. Like, no relationship, you can't be connected in any relationship unless you are able to name the thing, ask for the thing, act on the thing, and give the thing.
Yeah.
It's no different in a right? In a divine relationship. I need to know you. If I don't know you, I can't call on the things that I know you can do for me.
Yeah, draw upon the windows of heaven, right?
Like, I can't if I don't know who you are. And so I feel like my connection within me, my belonging to me directly comes from that conversation with him. And whether that's in the shower or I'm driving or it's at night with my eyes closed, I don't care. We're talking all the time because my caseworker got tired. You know?
Yeah.
She was like, all right, I got to give you to the big guy, right?
Yeah.
I also believe, Kylee, I believe that we do have, I know I said angels earlier jokingly, but I do believe that we have people that are protecting us for the moments that we are in. I think God leverages the souls on the other side and says, you know what, you 5 women, you know exactly what Kylie's going through. I need for you to be with her during this season. For me, when my sister passed away, God knew we needed all the prayers in the world, and we felt that. Like, we could feel that, right? Those angels around us who had been through loss and experienced that to lift us up. So I believe that we have a whole community on the other side that
rallying
for us, fighting for us. They can see it. They know what's in us because it's in them. Right? And so they're giving it to us all the time to move forward. And you asked me earlier, what would I say to that girl? I would say that same thing to her too. If, I would add that to the conversation. Like, girl, you don't even know. You've got a whole thousands of ancestors on the other side and people that know what you're going through, pushing you through that moment. For me, my 2 grandmas were both single moms. in a time where single moms weren't so, supported in any way.
Yeah.
And they became the sole income providers for their family. And every day I pulled strength from them. Every day I could talk to them and feel them. And so I think connection is far beyond the person sitting across from you, right? It's a whole ecosystem of purpose and empathy and love and strength around you. So anyway,
I love
that was a long answer. But
no. So for those who don't know, I do want to end with where people can find you, because you're putting a lot of good out in the world. Will you give us some of your website or your handle, and just like where can people find you, Carrie?
Yes, well, you can just connect with me on LinkedIn. Okay. It's Carrie H. That's what my LinkedIn profile is. It's Chill Consulting Agency is my PR services. And then if you want to find more information about the podcast, it's Refined Resilience Podcast on Instagram and YouTube and Apple and all the places. And so you can connect with me on Instagram there as well.
And you're an ambassador with Build and Bless, and people can hire you to speak and different things like that.
Yes. I would love to speak on any stages where we can uplift women and say all the things that we've said to each other to them. So
Thank you.
I think I'm adding that actually to my website. So if anybody goes to thechillconsultingagency.com, they'll see a speaking page.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
Love
this has been really fun.
Yeah.
Thanks.